Hakabune Takase introduces Kamigami Makoto, whom he first met in the summer of 3rd grade. He, a timid boy, explains that they have always been together since that time. Takase reminisces about Makoto's vibrant personality during their elementary school days, describing her as full of energy and always cheerful. She was always optimistic, consistently pulling him forward. Even then, she occupied all his thoughts. To Takase, Makoto was like the sun itself. Upon reaching middle school, Makoto seemed even more remarkable to Takase. She was beautiful, outgoing, and excelled in both academics and athletics, her brilliance almost blinding. However, Takase notes that things changed once they entered high school. Exhausted after classes, Takase stretches, glad the school day is over. He considers heading home. As he prepares to leave, he feels an unexpected tug on his shirt. The person tugging his shirt is Makoto, who hesitantly calls out to him. She asks if he wants to go home together, then anxiously wonders if he would rather not, prompting Takase to reflect that Makoto has indeed changed. Makoto hesitantly asked Takase if he would want to walk home with someone like her, a change in demeanor that Takase noted as strange. Takase quickly assured her that he was perfectly okay with it. Still anxious, Makoto questioned if she was a bother or a burden, her personality seeming so different that Takase almost didn't recognize her. Takase reiterated that he genuinely didn't feel that way, and encouraged her to walk home with him. Makoto expressed her relief, but Takase sensed a heavy, indescribable atmosphere around them. As they walked, Makoto seemed to have something more to say. She struggled to articulate her thoughts, hesitating before speaking further. Finally, Makoto mentioned that she was thinking about how much fun the game they played last time was. Understanding her unspoken request, Takase invited Makoto to come over and play again so they could continue their game. Makoto responded with an enthusiastic series of nods. Takase recalled that he and Makoto are childhood friends and have consistently played games together since they were young. This bond continued, as they still frequently hung out to play games and enjoy other activities together. After a round of their game, Makoto announced her victory, while Takase suggested they play one more time. Makoto gleefully declared that she had won again, leaving Takase momentarily speechless. She then glanced at him and teasingly asked if he, as the loser, was feeling frustrated. Takase's expression hardened, clearly showing his frustration. Takase acknowledged to himself that Makoto had always been good at everything, and he didn't think he had ever won against her in a game. Sighing, he decided it was whatever and announced he would take a quick break to get a drink. Makoto turned towards him with a startled and intense expression. Takase was taken aback as Makoto suddenly leaned in very close, exclaiming that she scared him. Makoto immediately backtracked, insisting she didn't mean her earlier teasing. She earnestly apologized, saying she wasn't making fun of him but still felt she upset him, and begged him not to start hating her. Takase, somewhat stunned, could only manage an okay, as he processed that the biggest change in Makoto was this newfound fear. He realized that Makoto was now pathologically terrified of being hated by him, and she immediately offered to do anything he wanted to make amends. Makoto eagerly accepted the task of getting him a drink, determined to be useful, while Takase, feeling thirsty, made the request. As Makoto went to fetch the drink, Takase reflected that despite her anxieties, there was no way he could ever bring himself to hate her. Takase wondered why Makoto was taking so long and if she was okay. Makoto peeked around the door and Takase saw her. He asked where the drink was, noticing her hesitant demeanor. Makoto, on the verge of tears, admitted that she had messed up. She explained that she poured too much juice and now couldn't carry the glass, prompting Takase to ask what she had been doing. Makoto elaborated that she just wanted him to have a lot to drink, an explanation Takase found endearing, thinking she was just way too cute. Takase wondered if there was any soze bread left at the store. The class representative approached Takase, asking him what was up. She reminded him about the cultural festival feedback survey he still hadn't submitted, which made him remember. Takase frantically searched for the survey, telling the class rep to hurry up, as Makoto watched from her desk. Takase noticed Makoto staring intently at him and remembered her trait of becoming anxious when he talked to other girls. Takase worried about how to avoid making Makoto even more anxious. Suddenly, an idea struck him. He decided he needed to show he had absolutely zero interest in the conversation. He apologized to the class rep, stating he was the kind of man willing to be cruel for Makoto's sake, leaving the class rep looking puzzled. Takase, attempting to be cruel, stated he'd just scribble something on the paper if he found it, thinking what a pain it was. The class rep, however, unexpectedly agreed, saying she couldn't be bothered either, and then pointed out that he, as class rep, should be telling her to take it seriously. Take's attempt at cruelty had failed due to his inherent good nature. Take was taken aback by the class rep's calm demeanor. His surprise turned to horror as he saw Makoto heading their way. Take's imagination ran wild with scenarios of Makoto crying, believing this situation was bad. He thought that if he ever made Makoto cry, it would be over for him and he'd never recover. The class rep, noticing Take's distress and pale look, asked if he was feeling okay as he wondered what to do. The class rep then turned to Makoto, asking if she was Kamigami-san, to which Makoto simply replied with an ah. Makoto was visibly surprised by the class rep's question. Take wondered what the class rep was planning. The class rep then addressed Makoto, stating that she hadn't turned in her survey either, to which Makoto nervously acknowledged. The class rep observed that it was both of them again, just like at the last class decision meeting, while Makoto apologized. The class rep seriously stated that Take and Makoto really do suit each other. Makoto was visibly flustered by the comment. The class rep told them to turn in their surveys by the end of the day and that they could figure it out together. Makoto was delighted, giggling about how the class rep said they suited each other, while Take, though feeling at a loss, realized his worries were unfounded. Makoto coughs, clearly unwell. Lying in bed, Makoto states that she has caught a cold. While looking at her phone, she admits to feeling lonely because she has to miss school and cannot see Take in person. Despite her loneliness, she giggles happily at her phone screen. Makoto messages Take about her cold and potential fever, delighting in his worried replies and increased attention. She schemes to get even more attention by exaggerating her symptoms despite only having a slight fever. Makoto considers what temperature to report, settling on the alarming figure of 41 degrees C, and sends the text. Take's phone signals an urgent new message. Take looks worried, expressing his hope that Makoto is okay. He reads the message and is shocked by the reported 41 degrees C fever, acknowledging its seriousness. The gravity of a 41 degrees C fever hits him fully, and he exclaims that it's a medical emergency. Makoto is initially delighted by Take's swift response. However, his message, urging her to rest and apologizing for texting, causes her to exclaim in surprise. She panics, realizing their conversation might end, and feels an urgent need to correct her previous exaggeration. Flustered, Makoto attempts to retract her statement, explaining that she actually feels more cold than hot. Take reads Makoto's confusing message and exclaims in alarm, believing she can no longer distinguish between hot and cold. He immediately concludes that this is a life-threatening emergency. Determined to help, Take dashes out, shouting for Makoto to hold on as he is on his way. Makoto is shocked to see Take's message announcing he is coming over. She immediately panics, worried that he will discover her lie since she doesn't actually have a fever. Makoto vividly imagines Take's furious reaction, picturing him accusing her of being a vile woman and declaring his hatred for her. Overwhelmed by guilt and fear, she cries out that he will hate her. The sound of the doorbell startles Makoto, who exclaims at Take's incredibly fast arrival. Believing it is all over for her, Makoto feels a sense of doom. As she slowly opens the door, Take's concerned voice asks if she is all right, while Makoto thinks she might at least see his face one last time. Makoto nervously starts to explain the truth about not having a high fever, admitting she was just happy about his concern, but is cut short when Take expresses his relief, leaving her surprised. Take elaborates on his fear, admitting he truly believed she might die and expressing his profound relief that she is all right. Makoto is visibly stunned and touched by the depth of his worry. With tears in her eyes, Makoto thanks Take and apologizes for her actions, to which he simply acknowledges her. With the air cleared after her health scare, Makoto, back to her usual playful self, stands behind Take. She observes him intently, a slight smile on her face, contemplating her next move. She then begins repeatedly poking Take in the back to get his attention. Take turns, looking slightly startled and questioning her actions. Makoto feigns innocence, denying she poked him. Take directly asks Makoto if she was the one who just poked him. Makoto, flustered, asks what he is talking about and insists it was not her at all. Despite her denial, Makoto cannot help but giggle to herself, while Take looks on skeptically. Take internally identifies this as Makoto's typical signal for attention. He acknowledges that while her good mood is a positive thing, reacting to her attempts for attention feels like a defeat. Despite finding her incredibly cute, Takase resolves not to react as Makoto continues to poke him. Undeterred by Takase's attempt to ignore her, Makoto escalates by poking his cheek directly. She seems to question his continued lack of response. When simple pokes yield no reaction, Makoto firmly clenches Takase's cheek. Finally, Makoto lets out a frustrated HMMPH, clearly annoyed by his stoicism. Changing her approach, Makoto swiftly covers Takase's eyes from behind. She then playfully asks him to guess who it is, giggling to herself. Takase is clearly struggling to maintain his composure, letting out a strained noise under her teasing. Takase slowly removes Makoto's hands from his eyes, questioning her actions. Visibly upset by his perceived rejection, Makoto asks why he was ignoring her the whole time. Tears welling up, Makoto asks if he is mad or if there is something he dislikes about her, desperately offering to fix it and become the kind of girl who is perfect for him. Makoto tearfully insists she will change everything if that is what he wants. Takase quickly interjects, telling Makoto that it is not like that at all. He apologizes sincerely, explaining he was just being stubborn for no reason, and reassures her there is absolutely nothing he dislikes about her, pleading for her not to cry. Makoto listens silently, absorbing his heartfelt words. Mikoto's face lights up as she asks for confirmation that he does not hate her and is not mad at her. Takase confirms with a smile, adding that he has seen many different sides of her. He internally admits that ever since they were children, he has always been weak to her tears and does not stand a chance when she uses them. Makoto, relieved and back to her playful self, resumes poking him, and Takase, while telling her he gets it, seems to accept this as a familiar part of their dynamic. As Takase and Makoto walk together, Takase is about to say something. Suddenly, Makoto bumps hard into Takase's back with a yelp. Takase turns around with a shocked expression. Makoto winces in pain, her nose now bleeding. He anxiously asks Makoto if she is okay, as she looks up at him, dazed and injured. A closer look reveals the extent of Makoto's injuries. Takase berates himself, feeling responsible for Makoto getting hurt again. Makoto dismisses his concern, saying it's fine and that her nose just started bleeding, mentioning it also happened the night before. Despite Makoto's reassurance, Takase insists it is his fault and says he will stop the bleeding immediately. The incident reveals the scar on the right side of Makoto's face, which is usually concealed by her hair. It's revealed that Makoto had a unique charm in middle school, an almost gravitational force that drew people towards her. However, this magnetism wasn't always positive, as it also attracted negative emotions like jealousy and resentment from others, which gradually took a toll on her. The scar on her face was the unfortunate result of these negative interactions. Takase internally accepts full responsibility, stating Makoto wasn't to blame. He remembers distancing himself from her in the past due to embarrassment over his feelings, despite noticing something was amiss. He firmly believes that Makoto's change was a consequence of his failure to protect her when he was the one closest to her. With newfound determination, Takase resolves to protect Makoto before anything else. Despite his resolve, he considers confessing his feelings to Makoto to be far too presumptuous for someone like him.